He used the walkie-talkie to ask where his mother was. It connected, and a crackling voice immediately came through, saying, "Fuang Tai, I think I can hear you. You're getting close to your auntie. Just now, there were mutations among the survivors. We took the supplies and ran to another place. Follow the car road, there are many cars at the end. We're hiding there. So far, no mutants have discovered us. Come here quickly." Fuang Tai was overjoyed to know his auntie was safe. He said they would go there immediately. As he turned to leave, Tonum stopped him, saying the place his auntie pointed out on the map was a dead end. By the time something happened, they wouldn't be able to find any escape routes. Also, her voice was too calm, with no sense of fear. Fuang Tai said his mother was always like that, very calm, never panicking, and meticulously planning every step. He explained that their parents died early, and their auntie treated them like her own children. Without her, they wouldn't have the careers everyone admired. At this point, Fuang Wen showed a little confusion. Tonum asked what Fuang Wen thought of this. Fuang Wen pinched Tonum's face and asked why he called him Fuang Wen, saying they weren't that close. Tonum told Fuang Wen to just pinch him, as he was like a piece of land and didn't feel any pain. Fuang Wen let go and slowly took off his protective suit, saying no matter what, their auntie had taken the supplies, so they had to go. The logic in his words was like usual. Maybe it wasn't the same situation as with Tran Van. Seeing Fuang Wen's judgment, Tonum agreed, as there was no other choice. They immediately went to the location Fuang Tai's auntie had directed them to. There were indeed many cars parked haphazardly in front of them. Fuang Tai was about to call out, but Tonum stopped him, telling him not to be impulsive and to observe first. Fuang Wen noticed the place was very suitable for many people to hide, with no sign of mutants in the air. Hearing this, Tonum hummed and asked if Fuang Wen could also sense the air and smell of mutants. Fuang Wen said it was a kind of innate intuition, a metaphor. At that moment, a voice came from the front, and Fuang Tai suddenly stopped. He found a person hiding behind a car. It was clearly his auntie. He excitedly walked forward. His auntie turned around, saw Fuang Tai, and was very happy. Fuang Tai looked at Tonum, saying, "See, I told you it was okay. My auntie wouldn't hurt us." But right then, Tonum hurriedly called out to him. Looking back, Fuang Wen was also very surprised, because Fuang Tai's auntie had begun to mutate, with half a mutant face. She looked at the two with affectionate eyes, saying, "Fuang Tai, Fuang Wen, you're finally back. Welcome home." Seeing his auntie slowly turn into a mutant, Fuang Tai was extremely heartbroken. She slowly turned to the group of people, saying it was her, their mom, and that finally she had found Fuang Wen, so now she could rest assured. At that moment, other mutants also appeared one after another behind her. It seemed she had become their leader there. Realizing the danger, Tonum slowly pulled Scissors out of his body. He told the other two to back off, as their auntie had become a mutant. While Tonum rushed towards them, the scissors were reinforced by soil and tree roots, becoming stronger. But when Tonum's scissors struck down, two mutants immediately appeared, using weapons to block his attack. The woman became furious, her whole body blazing like a torch. She asked where the little bastard had come from, saying she knew he must be Fuang Wen's bad friend. She said she had told Fuang Wen to stay home and study hard, not go out and play all day long. But Fuang Wen didn't listen, never listened to her. At this point, her body had completely become that of a mutant. She was different from other mutants. Besides close combat attacks, she could throw a fireball at Tonum. Faced with this unexpected attack, he couldn't dodge and was immediately engulfed in flames. This scene made Fuang Wen very worried. Tonum was also surprised she could burn him. He asked if these people were killed by her burning, but didn't get an answer. At that moment, other mutants immediately rushed forward to attack Tonum. Faced with this attack, his body was shattered into pieces. Of course, these attacks couldn't kill Tonum. While being shattered, he worried the fire had attached to him, causing the soil to lose its cohesiveness. Now he was like weak muscles, unable to condense much strength. Maybe he was about to die there. After rendering Tonum unable to fight, the female mutant muttered it was all over. Other mutants also roared the same. At this point, the fire on her body gradually dissipated. Then her face also became half mutant. She asked Fuang Wen and Fuang Tai to sit down and talk. Tonum was also surprised by her actions. Sitting among a group of mutants, Fuang Wen and Fuang Tai were very worried, but she was very kind and asked if they had a hard time coming back. She smiled kindly and invited them to drink water. The mutants behind her also roared to drink water. Just with this threat, Fuang Tai also took the bottle of water. Looking at it, he realized these bottles were from the supplies, meaning the remaining supplies were all in the auntie's hands. Fuang Wen also didn't understand the current situation. Just now, the auntie had been crazy, and now she was calm. Moreover, she calmly chatted with a mutant, as hateful as she used to be. The female mutant said there was no need to be so nervous, asking if they were scared by the situation outside. She had told them not to run around, that it was best to stay home. The mutants around her repeated her words. Fuang Wen could only laugh and agree. Fuang Tai secretly thought it was strange to be surrounded by so many mutants and not be nervous. The female mutant continued, saying in extraordinary situations, they must listen to her. When their parents entrusted them to her, she swore to take good care of them and didn't want to fail them. Hearing these words, Fuang Wen seemed very angry and lowered her head. At that moment, Fuang Wen suddenly saw a line of text on her hand with the content, "Look to the right." This was written by Tonum with soil. Looking in that direction, she saw the line of text again, "Your mother is like Chen Wen. There's a little bit of stubborn reason left." She was a familiar person to Fuang Wen. Could Fuang Wen find a chance to escape? Seeing the words "familiar person" seemed to make Fuang Wen very uncomfortable. While she was paying close attention to her conversation with Tonum, she suddenly found her auntie had come close to her. The auntie asked angrily where Fuang Wen was looking, criticizing Fuang Wen for still having this attitude while being scolded. She told Fuang Wen to look at her brother, saying his current job was easy and well paid. Great. While Fuang Wen had hidden her wishes from the auntie asked what kind of agricultural school Fuang Wen went to, then asked what Fuang Wen was looking at just now. At that moment, the auntie also noticed Tonum's head lying on the ground. She ordered her subordinates to take the head and give it to her. Holding Tonum's head, she said again it was a globe made of mud, implying Fuang Wen thought whatever Tonum said was true. Seeing the globe wasn't dangerous, she threw it to the ground, then looked back at Fuang Wen and continued scolding her. The auntie said sure enough, Fuang Wen still wanted to run around, telling her to learn from her brother and asking if she couldn't study seriously. The auntie claimed she didn't harm Fuang Wen, only wanting the best for her. At that moment, the auntie angrily pulled Fuang Wen's hand. Fuang Wen cried in pain, asking what she was doing and telling her to let go. The auntie said Fuang Wen must listen to her. Right then, her anger created flames that gradually burned Fuang Wen's arm. She said she wanted to create a new royal family in this new world. Hearing these words, Fuang Wen suddenly remembered the past, when as a child, she was always suppressed by her auntie, not allowed to do what she liked and forced to focus on studies. Fuang Wen wasn't comfortable even when she had homework, forced to participate in lectures. She really liked climbing mountains, but in her auntie's eyes, it was playing around and being irresponsible, not a serious matter. The auntie always said she didn't harm Fuang Wen, just wanting the best for her. All this accumulated resentment had made Fuang Wen very angry. While turning into a mutant, Fuang Wen erupted with a powerful strength. Tonum realized this was the power of the shadow system. At this point, Fuang Wen had become a mutant, but it seemed her consciousness was still there. She said the auntie wanted the best for her, but from childhood to adulthood, had she ever asked if Fuang Wen needed this kindness? Even auntie, brazen as she was, didn't dare approach Feng Yuan in the throes of a full-fledged Darksider transformation. She simply observed from a safe distance, a look of wonder slowly spreading across her face. This was a good thing, a sign that Feng Yuan was accepting her invitation to reshape their family dynamic. Auntie tenderly cupped Feng Yuan's cheek, the Darksider mask advancing at a breakneck pace. Cheng Yun knew he had to act fast. Abandoning his dirt disguise, he cried out to Feng Yuan, praying she'd snap out of it before the dark element consumed her entirely. His voice must have pierced the fog of her subconscious. The mask's spread faltered, if only for a moment. Cheng Yun wasted no time willing the scattered soil to reconstitute his body. As he did, he confessed that Luluo wasn't the only one he longed to save. He wanted to preserve his own lingering shreds of humanity. Without that driving force, that sense of self, he never would have left the relative safety of his sprawling territory, never would have risked life and limb to come to their aid. By connecting with normal, rational humans, he'd be able to cling to the remnants of his former life. And that was exactly why he refused to let Feng Yuan become another empty, ambling husk. Battered and broken as he was, Cheng Yun launched himself at Auntie with the last of his strength, hellbent on taking her down. But she almost lazily raised a hand to his face, subjecting him to a point-blank blast of searing flame that ravaged his already ruined form. With his final ounce of power, Cheng Yun pleaded with Feng Yuan not to lose herself. No matter what, she had to remember she was a force to be reckoned with, a human above all else. As his body crumbled to dust, his words seemed to act as smelling salts for Feng Yuan's clouded mind. The sound of Cheng Yun dissolving into a pile of pebbles must have yanked Feng Yuan back to cruel reality. Gradually, blessedly, the Darksider mask began to recede. She stared at the remains of the boy she'd come to consider a true friend, eyes brimming with emotion. Feng Yin was utterly speechless, turning to his aunt like a lost little boy. Auntie faced Feng Yuan once more, insisting that even in this brave new world, the laws of human success remained unchanged. The key to greatness was rising to the top of your chosen field, earning the admiration and reverence of all. That was Auntie's ultimate goal, to become a leader among leaders, a shining beacon for others to follow. To keep Feng Yuan from running wild, Auntie burned her legs to ash. To stop her from reaching for her dreams and rebelling, she incinerated her arms. Then, on Auntie's command, the horde of flaming Darksiders seized Feng Yuan, dragging her away from her aspirations both literally and figuratively. Feng Yuan blacked out, only to find herself plummeting through an endless void. There was no telling if she'd ever hit bottom in this bleak, miserable abyss. Auntie's voice whispered in her ear, promising her the glory she so richly deserved. The army of Darksiders mindlessly parroted their leader's words. Auntie assured Feng Yuan that if she simply put her faith in her aunt, everything would work out. The horde clapped in unison, a haunting echo of Auntie's sentiment. As she fell, Feng Yuan started to wonder if maybe, just maybe, Auntie had a point. After all, look at her brother, he'd become a smashing success in the eyes of the world, all thanks to following Auntie's carefully laid plans. Logically, if Feng Yuan walked the path her aunt had carved out for her, what could possibly go wrong? But deep down, Feng Yuan knew her own truth. That unshakable conviction ripped her out of the endless freefall, the yawning chasm of nothingness. She longed to run through the forest, to soar through the skies, unencumbered and free. In what she thought might be her final moments, she understood what she'd wanted all along. From the charred stumps where her arms had been, from her burned and severed legs, tiny whirlwinds sprang to life. She broke free from the Darksiders' clutches, floating up into the air, finally unburdened. If there was no room for debate between right and wrong, then the concepts themselves were meaningless. Only the end result mattered. Feng Yuan stood tall, the whirlwinds dissipating as she hovered, her missing limbs restored. Her mind was crystal clear. On the ground, scattered pebbles silently merged, forming a single eye. Through it, Cheng Yin witnessed Feng Yuan's transformation into a Darksider, a living embodiment of the wind. Auntie fixed her with a furious glare for daring to defy her yet again. There was nothing she despised more than a disobedient puppet. She sixed her army on Feng Yuan, ordering them to shut her up and end her foolish prattling. But Fong Yuan remained perfectly calm. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Darksiders, dark elements, the power of mutation. Her understanding grew by leaps and bounds. With her newly regenerated arm, she conjured up a tiny whirlwind. Then, with a forceful downward press of her hand, she unleashed a crushing downburst of air, slamming the pursuing Darksiders to the ground. As Auntie's useless minions flailed helplessly, Fong Yuan was just getting started. The downburst gave way to a massive updraft, a raging cyclone that sent the flaming Darksiders spinning out of control. Even Cheng Yin's meager remains were caught up in the swirling vortex. But inside the cyclone, he noticed something incredible. The dark elements were converging at a staggering rate. The wind seemed to cleanse him of the crippling weakness left behind by Auntie's flames, allowing him to fully regenerate from scratch. As his newly reformed earthen body settled gently on the ground, he raced to Fong Yuan's side, desperate to know if she was still in her right mind. She flashed him that classic smug grin beneath her Darksider mask, teasing that she could finally see his human face clearly. Even more cowardly looking than she'd imagined, she joked. Cheng Yin couldn't help but smirk as his own mask slowly spread. No ordinary Darksider could match Fong Yuan's signature snark. She was still herself, without a doubt. Auntie, on the other hand, was the farthest thing from relieved. Her army of puppets, neutralized in one fell swoop, unthinkable. Desperate to stave off the sting of defeat, she unleashed her full Darksider form, convinced she was saving Fong Yuan from becoming a lost cause like Cheng Yin. The duo, reunited and stronger than ever, sprang into action. Cheng Yin scattered his earthen body, pleading for Fong Yuan's aid as he moved to contain Auntie's flames. Using himself as a living shield, he easily blocked her wrathful blaze. Carefully positioned apertures allowed Fong Yuan to launch concentrated wind bursts, their powers combining to spectacular effect. The onslaught forced Auntie back, overpowering her furious inferno. Inside her swirling prison of flame, Auntie felt the scorching agony her own victims must have endured as the intensified blaze consumed her. Cheng Yin's theory held true. This breed of fire mutant used its own body as fuel, hence the heavy restraints on Auntie's abilities. Despite everything, Fong Yuan's heart ached for her aunt. She had no desire to prolong her suffering, only to put an end to the misery this disaster had wrought. Cheng Yin nodded in solemn agreement. This was a family matter, after all, and the method for destroying a Darksider, he'd already shared that secret. Bumping fists, the two Darksiders who somehow clung to their humanity joined forces. With a mighty combined punch, they aimed straight for Auntie's face. The devastating blow shattered her mask instantly, obliterating her reign of terror.